Do you know how much milk you got from your mom? There are moments when we see our parents were selfless. They were not counting the time, they were not counting the energy, and they were not counting the money. After that, your parents have taken you to school. They have paid your school fees. What about the clothing that they have bought for you? They have also given you accommodation free. You cannot write your story without knowing yourself. I welcome you to the platform for BoyChild by Grandma Rose. Today we are going to ask the BoyChild to write their story. And how do you write your story? Let's first of all go to the process of birthing a baby. The mother is now in the labor room. There is a lot of anticipation because they are waiting for a new life. We hear some encouraging words from the nurses and the doctors, telling the mother to take a breath and then to give a push. And so when the baby comes out in the world, it gives a cry. It is either a he or a she. The sober mood now changes to that one of jubilation, celebration of life, continuity of lineage. Nowadays, we start seeing fathers going into the labor room so that when the baby arrives, he is able to share that joy and he is also able to share the journey of birthing the child. In our culture, when a baby boy was born, he was given 5 rations. Whoever was outside, they knew automatically that a boy child had been born. If it was a girl, it was given 4 rations. Birthing a boy child meant that there was continuity of life, there was continuity of the family genealogy, the continuity of the clan, and the continuity of the nation. The girl, even though she was born, she was counted as part of another family. If she was going to continue the lineage, it was to be in another family, but not where she was born. What happens if a baby doesn't cry at birth? Because sometimes we have seen scenes in the hospital, scenes that are very frantic. The baby is born, but instead of the clapping and the jubilation, the baby doesn't cry. And we see that the mood changes. It changes to that one of sadness. Then we see some frantic movements by the doctors and the nurses. They try everything to make the baby cry. They'll rub his chest. They'll rub his back. They'll hold him upside down. They'll give him small slaps on the back. They'll suction the mucus from his mouth and from his nose. And if this doesn't work, we see him taken away, maybe to more complex machines that can be used to resuscitate him so that he can have air in his lungs to make his heart beat. If that does not work, then when they come back, you can tell just by their faces that it didn't work. If it was the boy child, the story of that boy child does not go beyond the labor room. But if by any chance they succeed and the baby cries, they'll come back and say the baby is okay. And sometimes the baby's cry is heard, like even by those who are in other parts of the same ward. All this is being done to give this baby life, to give hope for the parents. He brings so much joy that there is thanksgiving that a baby boy has been born. If it is the father of the young man who has now become a father, we can hear people say, "You have been born." Then we see people coming home when the baby comes home. And sometimes they will say, "Is there any jahe?" We know jahe is a special bean. And also, is there any uji? Is there that special porridge that the mother takes? So there is a lot of celebration. We are going to talk about this baby that has now cried. What happens? the mother has to start breastfeeding the baby. Do you know how much milk you got from your mom? Do you know how many times she soothed you so that you could sleep? Or how many times you kept her awake just because you didn't know it was night? Or sometimes you were sick. Do you remember how many times she encouraged you to take just one bite of food? Do you know how many times she got you off your knees and encouraged you to take the first step? And eventually you were walking? Or maybe when those teeth were coming out, the baby teeth, and she would say, Baba, open your mouth. Let me just feel it. It won't hurt. Just open a little bit. And then she would take out that tooth. When we remember those moments, there are moments when we see our parents were selfless. They were not counting the time, they were not counting the energy, and they were not counting the money. After that, your parents have taken you to school. They have paid your school fees. What about the clothing that they have bought for you? They have also given you accommodation for free. Now, this investment that your parents have given you cannot be counted in form of money. I was born in a family of 11 children. I am the third born in the family. But when I listen to my other siblings, those who are the last, like the last 4 or 5 of the siblings, I still hear them talking and boasting about the care, the love, the nurturing that they were given by those parents. Boy child, if we are parents, can we be responsible parents? Can we stop burdening our families? Remember when we talked about Eve being a helper to Adam? Whoever is helped has something that he is doing. He is found at work. He is busy. He got something. That is why he is being helped. Even the boy children, when they get a helper, make sure you have something that you have set up. You have work to be helped. You have a plan for your family. And so when your helper comes, she just goes into work to help you. Because I have seen many parents now, they are taking up their sons' families and it is becoming their responsibility. You cannot write your story without knowing yourself. And when you start with self, you say, who am I? What is my self-identity? Not just having an ID. It is, how can people describe you? How can people say who you are? What are the adjectives that they can use? He is a hardworking guy. He has good values. He is not selfish. He is trustworthy. These are adjectives that are positive. Or do they use the negative adjectives? He is a con man. He is disrespectful. Don't talk to him. Don't go near him. He does not respect age. Others will describe you as a drug addict. He is neglectful. He has neglected his family. Can we have a self-identity that is positive? The other one, boy child, is the self-worth. How do you value yourself? We find boy children being bought by small things. I'll buy you a beer, and then whatever I ask you to do, you do it for me. Some people are given money to go and kill. What is their self-worth? Do they value themselves? Why should someone do a dirty job for someone else because they have been bought? Self-respect. Do you respect yourself? And do you expect others to respect you? People will respect you because you respect yourself. If you get drunk and then you go talking bad language as you are going home, if you are doing inappropriate things in front of children, what about the company? People will give you respect because of who you move with. My self-worth, my self-respect, my self-esteem. Esteem is how good do you feel about yourself? How sure are you about yourself? When you go and meet people, how do they see you? Do they see you as a person that is acceptable? And high self-esteem means you feel good about yourself. To give you high self-esteem, remember that you are created in God's image. He gave you his breath. Boy child, when you look in the mirror, Be very proud. Then when you get out of that house, you'll be a person of high self-esteem. Self-confidence. Be confident even when you walk, when you go into an office, when you go to the hospital. Go there like you know what you're doing. Be prepared when you go for an interview. Dress properly to have that self-confidence. Because when you dress properly and you walk into an office, instead of you asking, can you do this for me? Someone will say, sir, what can we do to help you? Because you're walking with your head high, you're walking in high confidence. If you are into drugs, if you are into alcohol, if you are into idle life, if you are into bad company, how are you going to think about yourself? The self-confidence, the self-esteem, the self-worth, the self-respect, and the self-identity. Boy child, the story that we want to write is very, very important. When people are paying their last respects, there is a booklet that is written about you. And when people come to your funeral, they are very much interested in seeing that booklet. When this booklet is being passed, people say, hey, give me one, give me one, give me. They are interested to see the story. Do you know that sometimes the full story is not written? When was he born? He was born by who? Who were his siblings? Where did he go to school? How was he helping in the family, in the community? What kind of work did he do? This is where he worked. This is how he met his first love. That's how the story goes. I'm just giving a framework because that is how it goes. He met his first love, and then they got children. The children are named. Sometimes even the grandchildren are named. That he got sick. It may be a long sickness, and then they'll say he had a long sickness. He was taken to different hospitals. We are thanking this doctor. We are thanking this hospital. Or sometimes they can say he died suddenly, maybe of a heart attack, maybe of an accident, and then they'll say rest in peace. It is God who has given, it's God who has taken away. There are so many things that are left there that are never mentioned. If the adjectives that describe you have been bad, if you have not been of any impact in the community, in your home, in the country, people will miss out on those bad things. They'll take that sketch that I have talked about, they'll fill in about where you went to school and where you worked and who you married and the children you had. But there are things that they know that they'll not be able to write on that booklet. That story, you know it. The bad things about your story, you know. The people will leave it out because they do not want to be ashamed, because you are no longer there. They are passing the story, but are they passing the true story? Boy child, you know your story. God knows your story. It is our work to make this story straight. It is the time to write a positive story about ourselves. And do you know, boy child, it's not late. You can change your story. You can change your destiny. You can change your future. Not tomorrow, but today. Now, you can say, today I am making a decision to believe in self. And I'm going to work on self, on my self-worth, my self-identity, my self-dignity, my self-confidence, my self-respect, and then I'm going to be somebody. There is something that I tell the youth to say, I am somebody, believing in yourself. And there is also something else I have taught the youth to say, I have the power to say no. When people are influencing you to write a bad story about yourself, you have the power to say no. How do I say no? I am polite. I don't need to be rude. I am firm. I don't have to waver. And then I am non-apologetic. I don't have to apologize to give you the reason why I'm saying no. And when people realize that you know what you're saying, they'll stop wanting to influence you. And they'll give you respect because they know you are a principled person. Boy child, may God bless you. May God keep you. We have now come to the end. And let us continue to like, to follow, and to subscribe to the platform for BoyChild by Grandma Rose.